Ancient strength versus modern comfort. Are we weaker than our ancestors? Have you ever woken up with a sore back for no reason? Or felt your knees ache after a short run? We live in an age of unprecedented comfort and medical miracles, yet it often feels like our bodies are fragile. We have access to gyms, supplements, and perfect nutrition plans, but are we actually physically weaker and less healthy than our ancient ancestors? The answer is more complex and fascinating than you might think. Today we're going to strip away the conveniences of the modern world and put the body of a 21st century human up against that of our hunter-gatherer or early agricultural ancestors. It's a story of trade-offs, where we swapped raw physical power for intellectual prowess and rugged health for a longer, more comfortable lifespan. Section 1. The skeleton and a story of strength. Let's start with the very frame of our bodies, our skeleton. If an archaeologist from the future were to dig up one of our skeletons next to one from 10,000 years ago, the difference would be immediately obvious. Our ancestors' bones were significantly thicker and denser. Studies on the skeletons of early humans show bone densities that would rival those of modern elite athletes. Their daily lives were, in essence, a constant full-body workout. Imagine the strain of hunting, carrying heavy loads over long distances, building shelters and defending against predators. This constant physical stress signaled to the body, we need to be strong. The bones responded by becoming robust and powerful. A fascinating study compared the forearm bones of women from early agricultural societies to modern-day women, including competitive rowers. The ancient women's arm bones were stronger than the elite athletes. Why? Because their daily repetitive task of grinding grain for hours built a specific, powerful strength that even modern targeted training struggles to replicate. In contrast, the modern human lives a life of profound ease. We sit in cars, at desks, and on couches. This sedentary lifestyle sends a different signal to our skeletons. Strength is not a priority. Our bodies, ever efficient, adapt by reducing bone mass. The result is a lighter, more graceful skeleton that is far more susceptible to conditions like osteoporosis later in life. Our strength has become specialized and optional, whereas for our ancestors, it was the non-negotiable price of survival. Section 2. Muscle. Movement and a different kind of fitness. It's not just the bones. The entire musculoskeletal system of an ancient human was tuned for endurance and explosive power. While we can't directly measure their muscles, we can infer their capabilities from their lifestyle. A typical hunter-gatherer might walk or run 10 to 20 kilometers a day. This wasn't a jog on a flat treadmill. It was a trek over uneven, challenging terrain, often while carrying tools, food, or even children. Their fitness was a functional, generalist fitness. They had the endurance to track an animal for hours, and the explosive strength to throw a spear or climb a tree at a moment's notice. The modern concept of fitness is very different. We isolate muscle groups in the gym. We focus on aesthetics or performance in a single sport. An elite marathon runner today would likely outrun our ancestor on a paved road, but ask that same runner to navigate a dense forest, carry a heavy load, and then engage in a short, violent struggle. And the ancestor would almost certainly have the advantage. Our bodies have lost their all-terrain capability. The small, stabilizing muscles that our ancestors used constantly for balance and complex movements are often underdeveloped in modern humans. This is why we are so prone to injuries from simple, everyday actions. We've traded functional, resilient strength for a more specialized and ultimately more fragile physical existence. Section 3. The fuel, a tale of two diets. Perhaps the most dramatic difference lies in what we eat. The ancient human diet was limited but incredibly nutritious. For hunter-gatherers, it consisted of lean wild game, fish, fruits, nuts, seeds, and tubers. It was a diet incredibly high in protein and fiber, and almost completely devoid of refined sugar, trans fats, and processed grains. Early agriculturalists introduced grains, but these were whole, coarse, and required immense effort to process and digest. For everyone, food was seasonal and sometimes scarce, leading to natural periods of fasting. Now consider the modern Western diet. It is a diet of hyper-palatable, calorie-dense, and nutrient-poor foods. We have access to an endless summer of produce, but the bulk of our calories often comes from processed items loaded with sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats. This diet has fundamentally rewired our metabolism. Our ancestors' bodies were adapted for energy scarcity. Our bodies today are struggling to cope with constant energy surplus. The result is a pandemic of what are often called diseases of civilization. Section 4. The sickness, ancient perils versus modern plagues. This brings us to the final, crucial comparison, health and disease. An ancient human was far more likely to die young. They faced threats we can barely imagine. A simple cut could lead to a fatal infection, a broken bone could be a death sentence, and childbirth was incredibly perilous. They were constantly at risk from predators, starvation and violence. If they survived to age 40, they were the lucky and the strong. We, on the other hand, have conquered most of these ancient killers. Thanks to antibiotics, sanitation, surgery and vaccines, our life expectancy has more than doubled. We have won the war against acute infectious diseases, but in doing so, we have opened the door to a new set of chronic metabolic diseases. Heart disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and many forms of cancer are rampant in the modern world but were virtually non-existent in hunter-gatherer societies. These are the direct consequences of our modern lifestyle, our sedentary bodies and our processed diets. Our immune systems are also different. Constantly exposed to microbes and parasites, our ancestors had a highly reactive immune system. Some scientists believe that our modern sterile environments have left our immune systems bored, leading them to overreact and attack our own bodies, contributing to the rise in autoimmune diseases like Crohn's disease, multiple sclerosis and allergies. Conclusion to, are we weaker than our ancestors? Physically, in terms of raw functional strength and skeletal robustness, the answer is almost certainly yes. The average ancient human was a formidable generalist athlete forged by the necessities of a harsh world. But in terms of longevity and freedom from infectious disease, we are immeasurably more successful. We have traded bone density for brain power, muscle for medicine. We have engineered a world that no longer demands physical strength for survival. And our bodies have simply adapted to that new reality. The story of ancient versus modern man isn't about who is better. It's a story of adaptation. But it holds a powerful lesson. Our bodies still carry the genetic blueprint of our ancestors. They expect and crave movement, whole foods and physical challenge. Perhaps the key to modern health isn't to live like our ancestors, but simply to learn from them, to reintroduce the stresses and foods our bodies were designed for, all while enjoying the incredible gift of a long modern life.